What's good, guys? How y'all doing today? It's your boy Ethan, and we're gonna reacting to this Jimmy High Roller video. There may never be another GOAT. Already a GOAT, LeBron. Let's just cut that out the frame. Anyways, like, subscribe. Let's do the video.
How much is an NBA championship worth?
After 53
Voila.
years, the Knicks are finally NBA champions once again.
A ring is a ring, but intuitively, we as fans know that
Before we really get into it, the Knicks won in straight up just like the Knicks won and just mixed up the whole NBA, especially with free agency and stuff. Like it just
not all rings
shook
hold
up the
same
world.
value.
NBA
I ask
world.
this question because 2 weeks ago, the New York Knicks did what many doubted they could, and they didn't just win the NBA Finals, they completely dominated in the finals on their way to their first championship in over half a century. And while fans celebrated and the city of New York rejoiced in their rise back to glory, there was one reaction to their success and the culture of winning in the NBA that made headlines.
I like to know that greatness is validated. How do we know that any of the last 8 champions are actually validated because they have not done it again? Giannis is itching to get out. Boston is thinking about trading Jaylen Brown. They don't believe in their one championship. LeBron's one championship in LA was not enough. So why?
Shut this dude up. Shut him up.
Why would it be enough?
Shut him up. Shut him up. Shut him up.
Validate is the Larry O'Brien that I put on that shelf and stays there forever. That's
Yeah.
the validation. The Laker thing.
Oh, you mean participation trophy then?
I'm sorry, Larry O'Brien.
Fire him. I'm not going to say anything negative, but fire him. I don't want him on a talk show, sports talk show. Get him off there. Get him off there. I don't want to hear this guy speak about sports again.
O'Brien is a participation
That's
trophy?
if everybody gets one.
Yes, you heard that correctly. The pinnacle of the sport,
Pinnacle.
the ultimate goal every basketball player sets to achieve from the first time they ever lace up, is nothing but a participation trophy. This, my friends, is a symptom of ring culture. When nothing matters but hoisting the trophy at the end of the season, and even that is invalid if you've only done it once. But ring culture fails to address one key thing. Not all rings are created equal.
I agree with that.
Dirk Nowitzki has one ring, but it was arguably the most difficult championship won in modern NBA history.
2016 LeBron James.
It's held to such high regard,
2016 LeBron James and Kyrie Irving. You gotta mention Kyrie.
it might as well be 2 rings. But then there's Kevin Durant, who actually does have 2 rings, but he had to join an already polished, record-breaking Warriors team to get them. Dirk's 1 is almost universally regarded as greater than Durant's 2. And this same logic can be applied in different circumstances.
I just want to mention something. No, to do the video, but just look at. You can see like the camera. I just think that's so stuff. Like
Even across eras. Which player is greater? The guy with 11 rings or the guy with 6? Probably the player who has 11, right? Well, what if the player who won 11 did it in the 60s when the league only had 8 to 14 teams? And what if the guy with 6 won them in historically dominant fashion in a much more competitive league? Going against everything you learned in math class, in some situations 6 is actually greater than 11. But can this same exact logic be applied to today's league? If the evolution of the league makes it clear that Jordan's 6 is greater or at least equivalent to Russell's 11, then what is the equivalent to Jordan's 6 rings in today's NBA? 2 rings? 3? It sounds like a crazy concept at first. The idea of 2 or 3 rings vaulting a player into the same conversation.
Time out. Them showing Kawhi's ring in Toronto. Dude, I'm so glad he's back in Toronto. Trying to be Derrick Questo.
as players who
There we go,
dominated
Case.
an entire generation of
I'm
basketball.
just joking.
But
I don't know
the
anything about
further
the
we
situation. I'm
get
just
into this era of parity in the NBA,
Sorry.
rings vaulting a player into the same conversation as players who dominated an entire generation of basketball. But the further we get into this era of parity in the NBA, the more this idea feels like a reality. So, how much is a championship actually worth?
One thing I love about his videos is his production. His production has always been great. I will say that.
Today's video player best from click old cool my tab to dot.
I think winning a guy winning 3 rings now in the 2020s
If y'all know who this guy is, y'all been on 2K. Just saying.
with especially the second apron stuff, and I think it would
I'm not gonna lie. I don't remember which one. I think 2K22. Playing 2K22 in my career and hearing this guy's commentary, actually, I didn't mind it.
be even in
Didn't
a weird way
didn't mind
more
it.
impressive because everybody's better at putting together a team, and we also have more high-end talent, right? Giannis has only won 1 title too.
If Jokic wins 1 title and that's it, he's going to be the ultimate sort of barometer for this, because the statistics are going to say he's a top whatever single-digit player of all time.
I think the big thing to remember when you talk about this stuff is what era was the guy in and how good was the league, how competitive it was, right? And I just wonder, like, is it just everybody's going to win 1 or 2 now going forward?
Ring culture has been a highly debated topic for a while now. The idea that rings are not just a measure of a player's greatness, but the only measure of a player's greatness. For as long as fans have been debating, rings have reigned supreme in measuring a player's dominance. In spite of everything a player does throughout his career, winning or not winning a championship will be the final verdict of his abilities. It is the ultimate barometer of how great a player is and was. But what do we do if that barometer breaks? What do we do when the criteria for measuring greatness isn't properly calibrated? If winning a ring in today's NBA is more difficult than it was in the past, and the weight a ring holds depends on how difficult it was to obtain, are we reaching the point where the NBA is so competitive and so deep that 2 or 3 rings can be as great as 6? Parity, or a state in which things are equal, equivalent, or evenly matched, is a good thing. When things are more equal, more teams have a chance to win, more fans are engaged, and of course, more players have a chance to win. And right now, the NBA is seeing more parity both in terms of championship teams and even winning teams than it ever has before. Of course, this was not always the case in the NBA. Here is a timeline of players who had the most rings in the NBA in any given season, dating back to 1969 when Bill Russell won his 11th championship.
I know people don't like his charts and stuff. Like they think it's boring. At least I've seen, like Flight React be like, talk about the charts or whatever. Maybe not all the time, but I have heard him say it. And I've heard other people say it. I like the charts.
Still holds up today and will more than likely hold up until the end of time. But similar to today, the 70s were also a time of growing parity in the NBA. 7 different teams won a championship over the course of the decade. And so going into the 80s, the active leader in rings had just 3. But it didn't take long for that total to grow again. By the mid-80s, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar held the crown before he ended the decade with 6 championships under his belt and passed the torch to Magic, who had 5. Shortly after, the Chicago Bulls took over the lead, and it was Michael Jordan and Scottie Pippen who had the most championships of any active players, clear up until the early 2000s. By 2005, the crown swapped heads between Shaq, Kobe, and Duncan up until 2016, when both Kobe and Duncan retired, and Tony Parker held the crown for a few seasons before retiring and LeBron winning his 4th championship in 2020. A couple years later, the Warriors won a ring in 2022, and since then, nothing has changed. Which leads us to where we are today, where among Hall of Famers and all-time greats, the active players with the most...
This leads me to a question. Out of Shea, Giannis, Jokic, Wemby, Brunson, Tatum, all these, the next up, right? A lot of them, they've won rings already, so you can say they're now. So I guess modern. where we're in a state where teams are winning one ring and then, they haven't won a ring yet, you know what I'm saying? Like the Bucks or like the LeBron Lakers. OKC, I know it was 2025, so I'm not trying to speak too soon on that. What I'm trying to get at is, who do y'all think is gonna, in this era, be that guy who wins too? I think it's gonna be Wemby. If I'm gonna make an early, he hasn't won one yet. I think Wemby's gonna either win back to back or he's gonna win two in the 2020s. You ask me.
Rings in the league
What do y'all think though?
today are LeBron, Steph, Clay, and Draymond, each with 4. But what happens when these players are gone? Soon enough, these guys will retire, and the next group of players will take the mantle as the league's legacy.
Speaking of this, I'm posting this video on July 3rd. I don't know, something might happen before this is uploaded. I think LeBron and Curry are gonna play together. It's been all over TikTok. It's not a hot take, but that'd be really cool.
Players.
That'd be super cool.
Jokic, Giannis, Luka, Shea, Tatum, all of these players with either 0 or just 1 ring. Now,
or if you think LeBron should go to a different team and he hasn't already picked a team, let me know.
We don't know how the next decade of basketball will play out.
I'll read all
1
comments.
or 2 of
I'm gonna
these
read all
players
comments.
could go on a tear and win 2, 3 rings. But if the past 8 seasons is any indication of what's to come, even the greatest players in the league today may struggle to win more than 1 championship throughout the course of their entire career, which, according to ring culture, disqualifies them from being included among the true all-time greats of the sport. Are these current players simply not as great as those that came before them? Or are we misinterpreting the value of a championship altogether?
For joining us. This is incredible. You'll be back during the playoffs at some point, so we're looking forward to that. 7 rings. Can you just loan him one?
Just one.
Nah, dog, you got to earn it. It would be right if I gave it to you, right? You did a lot of things in base, but
You heard the man. You got to earn your rings. If
Top 50 player ever, by the way. Just saying.
there's any player that knows a thing or two about rings, it's this guy, Robert Horry. He's got the most rings of any player in modern NBA history.
Best role player
7
ever.
championships in his
Ever.
16-year career, and he hits some of the biggest shots in playoff history, thus giving him the nickname Big Shot Bob. And he said this to Tracy McGrady, who of course never won a ring. And by ring culture standards,
Unfortunate,
this
by
is
the
a
way.
perfectly normal and applicable thing for Mr. 7 rings to say to Mr. 0 rings. There's only one problem. Robert Horry averaged 8 points a game in the playoffs, was not the driving force
Still a
behind
big
his rings,
piece, though.
and only even started in
Big
2
piece.
of those championship runs. Tracy McGrady is one of the 50 greatest players to ever lace up. This is the effect ring culture has on basketball. If you didn't know any better, you would think Charles Barkley was an absolute slouch the way Shaquille O'Neal addresses him on television. That his opinion
Bro, I'm not gonna lie. See, okay, that last clip and this clip, Charles Barkley gotta be on Ozempic or something, bro. No shade, no nothing. But you know what? I'm not gonna hate. Props to him for losing the weight, man. I respect that. Being healthier, I respect that.
on winning and dominating
But
the
he
field
lost a
is
lot of weight.
invalid because he never won a ring. Charles Barkley was a league MVP, went toe-to-toe with MJ in the finals, and was one of the best players of an entire generation. When rings mean everything, not winning one, or in some cases not winning enough of them, means you'll always be one step below those who did, regardless
Knowing that Russell Westbrook's gonna retire without a ring hurts me, man. It hurts.
of everything else
It
you accomplished.
hurts, man.
Which begs the question, if the NBA is truly in an era of parity and the evolution of the league now makes it nearly impossible for a couple of players to hoard multiple championships for themselves, how will we remember Nikola Jokic if he only retires with one? How will we remember Giannis Antetokounmpo if he only retires with one? Or Luka Doncic if or when he gets to that point? At this rate, will anyone ever get within reach of GOAT status?
I'm glad Giannis won that ring. He deserved it. He played crazy. But man, I really wish CP3 had a ring.
And is this era of parity really just an era? Or is this just the new standard for the NBA and what's to come in the future?
From Dustin Nielsen, why is ring culture so much more prevalent in the NBA than in other sports?
I don't know why it's discussed so much in our sport.
The GOAT.
And why it's
No
the
glaze. No
ALB
glaze.
of
You can't glaze
everything.
LeBron.
Like, okay. Or if you won one, then you can't be in the same conversation with this person. It's like.
But that's a great point, because what you're saying is, like, no matter what you have, you need more. No matter what.
Right.
No matter what. Like, it never ends.
Yeah. A ring is a team accomplishment.
Right. We got to be careful sometimes how we can be so dismissive of a team, a player, an accomplishment, or a failure, because these are the best in the world, no matter how you slice it.
He doesn't have a ring. It's like, have you actually sat down and actually, like, really looked at this guy's career and what
I like this take.
he was able to accomplish, you know?
This was LeBron's take on ring culture last summer on a podcast with Steve Nash. A sensible take on a highly debated topic. Rings are great. They are the pinnacle of the sport, but they shouldn't completely define a player's legacy. And I'm sure the reactions in response to LeBron's stance were just as reasonable and rational as his was.
Factually incorrect. I'm just saying, he took individual credit.
No, you didn't do that.
Let y'all have that.
No, let y'all have that.
Keep it right.
Hey, so you might switch it up. You can.
Actually, people lost their minds, still clinging to the idea that rings are, in fact, the defining factor of a player's legacy. But if we don't know how to measure a player's greatness, and neither does LeBron, then maybe Michael Jordan himself might have some answers.
You're never going to say
1 and 2. He's second best.
who's the greatest of all time. To me, I think that's more for PR and more for selling stories and getting hype. Jack and Tiger never played against each other. They never played in the same tournament. They never played with the same equipment. They never played with the same, length of golf course. I never played against Will Chamberlain. I never played against, Jerry West. To now say that, one's greater than the other is being a little bit, unfair. Yeah, Jack probably has 18 majors and Tiger's got 14. And I think those are when, that's how people are judging certain things. I won 6 championships. Bill Russell won 11. Does that make Bill Russell better than me and make me better than him? No, because we play at different eras. So when you try to equate who's the greatest of all time, it's an unfair parallel. It's an
I actually really like this take.
unfair choice.
I love this take.
Michael is alluding to is precisely the flaw with using rings as a measuring stick for greatness. Ring culture tends to ignore context, the era they played in, the path a team had to go through, the fashion in which they won it, when in reality, it is the context itself that is the true measure of a player's game. Steph Curry is the greatest shooter of all time and arguably the greatest point guard of all time, and he's got 4 rings to prove it. But even for a player of his caliber, getting to 4 took an extremely unlikely set of circumstances to pull off. It took one of the greatest players of all time in his prime joining their 73-win team, as well as a historic salary cap spike in that exact offseason to create the perfect storm to build on their already championship roster. It took 2 completely unprecedented events for a generational talent to get to 4 rings. Similar sentiment could be said about LeBron, a top 2 player to ever touch.
I remember watching that finals, the one where KD came to the Warriors, both of them. Now, as a LeBron fan, it hurt.
Touch a basketball.
All I'm going to say.
And he had to leave the team that drafted him, build a juggernaut in Miami, and put together the greatest comeback in NBA history just to get to 4 rings. And not only did
that comeback made him the GOAT.
Did it take extreme circumstances for these 2 to get 4? It took circumstances that are essentially impossible in today's league. Part of this is due to the natural evolution of the league and the sport, and part of it is by design.
Look at this dude's vein. It's like I'm playing that snake game.
The irony of this clip and the take
Sorry.
that came
Sorry,
with
guys.
it is that right before Vincent Goodwill said it, he actually explained exactly what makes championships today extremely valid.
Let's hear
I
it.
think dynasty is better for the sport because if we're going to look at the way that the NBA experienced its golden age, those 2 decades where it went from Magic and Bird and Isaiah in between to Michael Jordan, that's where you had the greatest explosion in growth. And it's not just because those guys hoarded the championships. Now you're legislating parity. The owners are saying you aren't allowed to be great for an extended period of time because look at Oklahoma City with Durant and Westbrook and Harden. They weren't allowed to keep their 3 guys together because the money says, okay, you drafted too well. You drafted 3 MVPs. You can't hold on to them.
This is how I made this hoodie with a print
Cut
and a
this.
tag in under 30 seconds. Just pick a blank, drop your design, and place it exactly where you want it. Then,
through a combination of smarter teams, better.
I agree with that to a certain extent. I just don't agree with what he said earlier. I don't think the league legislating it makes the rings matter less, but I don't think they should be, restricting it. Obviously there has to be a salary cap, obviously, but like what they're doing to make it to where, teams can't keep their championship team together, I don't think that's right.
Front office.
If you draft well, if you make the right moves, you should be able to keep your team. As long as it's not, over the cap.
Analytics, deeper rosters, larger talent pools including international players, and rules set in place explicitly designed to prevent teams from building dynasties. It is harder now, or at least as I've said before, it is more equitable now to win a championship than ever before. This era of parity could very well be a phase in NBA history. Eventually, someone has to lead their team to multiple titles among this generation of great players. But we have evidence that what we are
like the Celtics are the prime example. They got rid of Porzingis, they got rid of Drew Holiday just because they had to, and honestly, not fair.
Seeing now is only the beginning of what's to come. 2 years ago, the NBA introduced the second apron, a set of rules created in the 2023 collective bargaining agreement that has since made it virtually impossible for teams to build a great roster and keep that roster intact. Due to a laundry list of financial penalties and restrictions, in today's NBA, winning a...
Okay, let's read these. Second apron includes all firsts. Okay, cannot have access to MLE and free agency or exorbitant contracts. Cannot trade first-round picks from 7 years out. Cannot use trade exceptions from previous years. Cannot use cash in trades. First-round pick moves straight to the end of the first round if the team stay
championship.
So it's like keep your good team and destroy your future, or blow up your team now and have a good team, but cut your core in half. That's just silly to me.
Is as difficult as it's ever been, and winning another one has become, at least to this point, an insurmountable task. In today's league, KD signing with the Warriors wouldn't even be possible.
Wow.
LeBron building a team in Miami wouldn't and couldn't happen. Running it back with the same proven core year after year isn't even feasible. If a prime LeBron or Steph or MJ were attempting to make real championship runs in today's league, in spite of their talents, the odds would be stacked against them, and the path would be more difficult than it was 10, 15, 30 years ago. The NBA has literally created rules that force teams to choose between keeping their current roster intact and maintaining the flexibility needed to improve on their roster in the future. And we're seeing these rules crumble teams in real time. After winning a ring in 2024, the Celtics traded Kristaps Porzingis and
I just said
Drew
that.
Holiday
I just said this.
just to give themselves flexibility and stay below the second apron. The current
It's not good for the game. It's not good for the game.
rules of the league forced a championship team to immediately blow up their roster. The man who helped propel the Knicks to their title this season, Karl Anthony Towns, is only on the Knicks because the Timberwolves couldn't afford to keep him after making it to the conference finals. And
I didn't know that.
we're only going to see more of this as teams continue to adapt to rules specifically made to prevent historic runs and dynasty contenders. If becoming the GOAT requires a player to match Jordan's 6 rings, or match LeBron's 4 for that matter, then fans of the NBA may need to once again reevaluate what a ring is truly worth within the context of when it was won. If winning only one championship, or even worse, winning none at all, makes a player or a title run invalid, then we are dangerously close to disregarding an entire...
Off topic. Congratulations. He was always doubted, and I just respect someone who doubted and they pushed through anyways, and they accomplished their goals. You know, it's not
generation of players in the NBA. How
I love that.
much is an NBA championship worth? Well, if 30 years of evolution is the difference between Jordan's 6 matching Russell's 11, then maybe the last 30 years of the league's evolution is the difference between 2 or 3 today, matching Jordan's 6.
Great video, I'm not gonna lie. Jimmy Howreller never disappoints. Side note, you know, at the end of the video, if you're blessed enough to have the things you have, please go bless back. Bless back, bless back, bless back. Spread positivity, and yeah, y'all have a good one. Peace.